Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa alihi wa azwajihi wa zurriyatihi ajma'in. Continuing reading of Allama Iqbal's Reconstruction of Religious Thought in Islam, and we had stopped here. So today we are starting from we must not, however, regard it, that is the heart, as a mysterious special faculty. And last time we saw that the heart is a kind of inner intuition or insight, which in the beautiful words of Rumi. So we discussed this part in detail last time, and there were a few things we saw last time. Quran used heart in various ways, and also the Quran doesn't necessarily use heart in the intuition in the sense of intellectual seeing, the sense in which Allama Iqbal is using it here mainly. And also Allama Iqbal's claim that the seeing of heart is never false, that seems to be incorrect. He doesn't give any evidence here, but his editor, I don't know his name, his editor has given a reference to the ayah 10 and 11, I think, of Surah An-Najm, Ma Kadhaba al-Fuadu ma Ra'a. But that ayah is specifically referring to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's like ridiculous. Even like, so he revealed the Prophet's own heart did not distort what he saw. And as we saw, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is Masoom, and there's no other Masoom in this ummah as far as we are concerned. So that seems to be way off the mark. Okay, let's start from here. We must not, however, regard it as a mysterious special faculty. Okay, sure, it's heart is a God's creation, like eyes, like other of his creation, but we understand some of his creations better than others. Special faculty. It has a mysterious special faculty. Now, what do we mean by mysterious? That depends on that. And every faculty, there's a special faculty because it does the things which other faculties can't do. And heart, in the comprehensive sense in which the Quran uses heart, is the center of consciousness. So in that sense, it's a special faculty because it anchors all other faculties, sense perception and understanding and reason, and all those faculties are anchored in the center of consciousness. And depending on the condition of your center of consciousness, that will affect your perception and their veracity. So in that sense, it is a special faculty, but let's see what we might mean by mysterious. And in which sense heart is obviously not a mysterious faculty. And in other sense, it might be a mysterious faculty, I don't know. Before we go into whether it's a mysterious faculty or not, let's remind ourselves why Allama Iqbal rahmatullah alayh might be aiming at, why he might be saying this, because what we should always remember, what is his project here? His project is to establish, part of his project, very important, scientific credentials of Islam, because science, at least the way he interpreted it, is something true, something superior, and it's actually for him is the development of some fundamental Quranic insights. So science is, in a sense, a criterion for him, if correctly understood. And science is based on sort of naturalism, what he calls naturalism, on observations, on a clear method of trial and error and testing, and empirical verification is important for deciding what is true. So it must be something clear. And what he has been saying is that science is based on what he calls reflective observation, which is sense perception plus conceptual learner. But his crucial point is that this opens up only, or has access to, only a part of reality. So from science gives us a partial view of reality, or partial perspective on reality. So if we, or at least reflective observation. So if we limit ourselves to reflective observation, then we will, our view of reality would be partial. And if we think that view, which is actually partial, is the whole of the view, then obviously we will distort our view of our understanding of reality would be distorted, would be untrue in a sense. So what Allama Iqbal is saying is that there's another source other than, so we don't need to deny reflective observation, because Quran is full of that, according to him. So we should embrace reflective observation with both hands. But what we need to do is to add what he calls intuition. And since he has already proved reflective observation and its veracity from the Quran as well, so then he goes on to prove in his own mind, the veracity of intuition from the Quran as well. And he locates it in the use of Quran, the word heart and fuad and all those things. And he thinks that intuition is as against so reflective observation and intuitions are two complementary mode of dealing with reality. So reflective observation, but they are both natural. Sources. And modern mind is wary of intuition because it has come to be regarded as some sort of a mysterious faculty. So what we need to do is first obviously anchor our understanding of intuition in the Quran, like we did for reflective observation, and also establish the scientific credentials of this mode of perception, we call intuition. Um, and first step in this direction is to explain this method of intuition in the same level, at the same natural level as we have explained the method of reflective observation. That's why I say we must not, however, regard it as a mysterious special faculty. It is rather a mode of dealing with reality in which sensation, in the physiological sense of the word, does not play any part. Okay. So that would be his one of his main projects in first two chapters of the Reconstruction of Religious Thought. At least give us an idea about how to establish the natural scientific credentials of intuitive method, or the reasons of heart, so to speak. Okay, so that's the background where he's we should understand his word mysterious here. So I think we must not, however, regard it as a mysterious special faculty. It is rather a mode of dealing with reality, just like the other mode we have seen, reflect, in which sensation in the physiological sense of the word doesn't play any part. Yet the vista of experience thus open to us is as real and concrete as any other experience. So, okay. So now let's see. Let's start with what he mean by mysterious. Let's start with the. I mean, we already saw what he might mean, but let's start with the linguistic meaning of mysterious, because it's always good to start with linguistic meaning, because a lot of the time we think that we know the meaning of the word, but we might not in its precise sense. Okay, so the first meaning according to this dictionary I have is difficult or impossible to understand. Explain. Difficult or impossible. So in that sense, that doesn't make something unscientific, obviously. Because string theory is very difficult and almost impossible to understand, but it's still called scientific theory. And there are many other theories, like quantum physics and all that. So mystery in this sense is not about the situation, but it's about our understanding of that situation. His colleague had vanished in mysterious circumstances. There obviously must be some difficulty in the situation as well, but it's not as if situation is non-natural or anything. We don't mean by that, or at least in this usage. Okay, that's the first meaning of mysterious. Of a location having an atmosphere of strangeness or secrecy. Location, strangeness, a strange dark place, and there's nobody there. So even in that sense, it's just that we are not used to normally. We find it strange. Of a person deliberately enigmatic. It's a person trying to be difficult. So nothing unscientific about it. So in that sense, heart is not a mysterious faculty. Although I said it's a special faculty in some senses, in the senses which I just explained. Okay, let's go back. to the text. Okay, so it's rather mode of dealing with reality, in which sensation doesn't play any part. Sensation doesn't. So sensation in the physiological sense doesn't. So that makes me think. So there are two aspects to this perception of heart. It's a faculty, a mode of dealing with reality. Okay. So what he called intuition, and heart is obviously for him the source of intuition. It's direct contact with reality. So in that sense, so unmediated. And so in that sense, it's contrast with reflective observation, because that's a mediated knowledge, mediated through our conceptual organization and all that. Secondly, what's the second one? The second one is sensation doesn't play any part in the physiological sense. What other senses of the? So that tells me that he is using, at least partially, what philosophy intuition in the Platonic sense, or even Hegelian sense, because there is Hegelian of a sort in here. But if we look at Quranic usage of word heart and also the word fuad, none of these meanings are necessarily present there, because Quran, obviously Quran uses the word heart and fuad in many different senses. It actually uses it in the sense of the physiological organ, but when it is using it in non-physiological sense, what it means is center of consciousness. Probably I'll make another separate video on all this Quranic usage of the word heart. Center of consciousness. Sometime we had looked at it a couple of, I think 2-3 sessions before, or a couple of sessions before. It also uses, sometimes Quran uses in the sense of understanding, in the Kantian, almost Kantian, like in the sense of organization. And it also uses in the sense of al-aql. I'm not using reason, because reason is just a specific subclass of al-aql. Al-aql is a very broad conception of reason, if you know what I mean. Okay, and if we look at that, understanding obviously is not a direct knowledge. It's the organization of sense perception, and sense perception is present there. And if it is a center of consciousness, then sense perception is present. And al-aql, if it is an inferential faculty, then it's still so I don't think Quran uses heart in the Platonic or Hegelian sense of the word. So that should be clear. So Allama Iqbal is using here, interpreting Quran in his way to mean intuition in his own specific sense, which doesn't necessarily correspond with the Quranic usage. And okay, so it's a rather mode of dealing with reality in which sensation in the physiological sense of the word does not play any part. Doesn't play, and he doesn't refer to any ayah, a specific ayah, but he's editor does, and let's look at it. Refers to ayah of Surah Hajj, I think. Let me pull that out and then we look at it. If it actually, Quran actually uses the word heart in Iqbal's sense or not. Okay. So the editor refers to this ayah number 46 of Surah Hajj. أفلم يسيروا أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فتكون لهم قلوب يعقلون بها أو آذان يسمعون بها فإنها لا تعمى الأبصار ولكن تعمى القلوب التي في الصدور. So here Quran is referring al-aql yaqilun to heart. So heart is used here in the sense of the faculty which uses a rational faculty, or a faculty which does aql, whatever we mean by aql. And then it says, so let me see the so Abdul Halim's translation is, and he will undertake the second creation. Is that 53? Just a minute. So Abdul Halim's translation of أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَيَنْظُرُوا أَفَلَمْ يَسِيرُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَتَكُونَ لَهُمْ قُلُوبٌ. So he translated, have these people of Mecca not traveled through the land with hearts to understand? So Quran used understanding. So heart is the faculty of understanding, and ears to hear, azan yasmuna. And then Quran says it is not people's eyes that are blind, in Allah ta'amal absar, because obviously they have physiological eyes, and they use walakin ta'amal qulubul lati fi sudur. It's not people's eyes that are blind, but their heart within their breasts. So blindness has been referred to or attributed to hearts. So from this, Allama Iqbal sort of concludes that hearts in some sense sees as well. So first thing about this ayah is that Quran uses qulub. That qulub, yeah, hearts, and attributes understanding to them, which is the translation of yaqilun. Now here understanding is used in a general sense of, not in the content sense of organization of the sense data or information. So it's more used in the sense of aql or reason. That's clear. But then Quran mentions ears, which hear, which is a physiological function, and then the Quran attributes wala ta'amal blindness to eyes, and say it's not their eyes which are blind, but their hearts which are blind. So Quran attributes blindness to heart. So from this, it can be gleaned, it can be sort of inferred that heart sees as well. But obviously, heart is seeing is used here in a more allegorical and metaphorical sense, because Quran already mentioned the function of yaqilun, to heart. So their hearts don't see, or they are blind in the sense that they don't understand, not in the literal sense. This ayah cannot be used to infer that in Quranic use of the heart somehow has this power to intuit non-sensual intuition or else. Let's look at some of the tafsirs. So almost أفلم يسيروا في الأرض فتكون لهم قلوب يعقلون بها وآذان يسمعون التفسير أفلم يسير المكذب من قريش في الأرض ليشاهدوا آثار المهلكين فيتفكروا بعقولهم فيعتبروا ويسمعوا أخبارهم سماع تدبر فيتعظوا فإن العمى ليس عمي بصر وإنما العمي المهلك هو عمي البصيرة. So blindness is not basar but basira. عمل بصيرة يعني إدراك الحق والاعتبار. So according to this tafsir as well, what Quran is talking about is not the blindness of physiological eyes, but blindness of insight, basira rather than basar. دعا الله عباده السير في الأرض لينظروا ويعتبروا. This is Sadi. قال أفلم يسيروا في الأرض بأبدانهم وقلوبهم فتكون لهم قلوب يعقلون بها آيات الله ويتأملون بها مواقع عبره أو آذان يسمعون بها أخبار الأمم الماضين وأنباء القرون المعذبين وإلا فمجرد نظر العين وسماع الأذن وسير البدن الخالي من التفكر والاعتبار غير مفيد ولا موصل إلى المطلوب. So what he's talking about is understanding, not just seeing. فإنها لا تعمل الأبصار ولكن تعمل القلوب التي أي هذا العمي الضار في الدين عمي القلب يعني الحق حتى لا يشاهد عمل أو عمي not sure. حتى لا يشاهد كما لا يشاهد الأعمى المريات. وأما عمي البصر فغايته بالغ غايته ومنفعة دنيوية. أفلم يسيروا في الأرض والشان في هذه الرؤيا أن تجسب يعتبر وجهة متى كان عنده قلب يأكل ما يجب فهمه وأذان تسمع يجب سماعه ولكن هؤلاء الجاهلون يرون مسار الغابرين فلا يعقلون ولا يعتبرون. فإنها لا تعمل الأبصار ولكن تعمل القلوب التي في الصدور. This is تنطوي بيان لسبب انتماس بصائرهم. It's talking about basira, not basar, insight. لا تعمل ولكن تعرف أن العمى الدار هو عمي القلب فأما عمي البصر فليس بدار في أمر الدين. Anyway, so it seems that Quran doesn't use seeing in at least to understanding in any non-sensual direct intellectual intuition. But anyway, Alamic Iqbal's purpose is clear. That purpose I already mentioned. So let's stop here, I think, and tomorrow next time we'll start from here. Yet the vistas of experience.